In this lecture, we are going to see some of the key properties of expectation. So the first property is basically, okay, well, x is a random variable. We will consider x is either discrete or continuous because that's what we are talking about. And if I have a set A which is a subset of R, and if I try to find out what is the expectation of indicator function of A, then it turns out to be probability that x belongs to A. It is very easy to see. It is very easy to see. The reason is basically nothing but. So this is theorem 2.11. We are talking about 11a. So we try to prove that expectation of IAX is equals to probability that x belongs to A. What is we try to prove that, try to show that, and what is IA? IAX, as you know, is basically 1 if x belongs to A, and it is 0 if x does not belongs to A. Okay, so if I say that y is a random variable which is basically IAX, then what are the possible values of y? The possible values of y is basically nothing but 0 and 1. And in this case, probability that y equals to 1 is equals to probability that x belongs to A, because if x belongs to A, then that y equals to 1 if and only if x belongs to A. So this probability, maybe I can give some name P, and on the other hand, probability y equals to 0 is equals to probability that x does not belongs to A. This probability is 1 minus P. So in this case, the random variable y is basically a Bernoulli random variable or binomial random variable with n equals to 1 and probability of success equals to P. And in this case, we know that expectation of y is nothing but np equals to P, which is equals to probability of x belongs to A. So clearly, we have proved that expectation of the random indicator function of the set A is basically nothing but probability that x belongs to A. And this has lot of use, especially when we try to write some probability in terms of the expectation. We can actually use this particular identity, and this has some use. We will see some of the use of this particular identity. Next point says that if I have two functions h1 and h2 such that h1x is less than equals to h2x for all values of x, then the expectation also follow the same inequality, that expectation of h1 is less than equals to expectation of h2x. Obviously, I have to have the expectation exists. Note that here the expectation has to exist because in this case, this random variable can take two values 0 and 1, so finite support, so this expectation has to exist. But in this case, the random variable h1x or h2x may have support which is not finite, so I need to first check whether the expectation exists or not. If expectation exists, then expectation follow the same inequality. And the proof is very simple. I'll write the proof for the continuous random variable x. For the discrete random variable, you can modify it just changing the integration by summation. Okay, so the proof is as follows. So we have h1 of x is less than equals to h2 of x. Now as the density function is greater than equals to 0, so I can multiply it by the density function, keeping the inequality intact. And then I take the integration, and the equality again will not change because of the property of the integration, and this completes the proof. This implies that expectation of h1 of x is less than equals to expectation of h2 of x. Okay, that completes the proof. And so the proof is very simple. We use two facts. One of that density function is always greater than equals to 0, and then we use the property of the integration. That completes the proof. Okay, Now, the third property says that if the random variable, the support of the random variable is a subset of the set A and B, or other way we can say that probability that X lies between A and B is 1, then the expectation also going to lie between the A and B. Okay. So in this case, how can I prove? The proof is again almost in the similar fashion. I will prove one side with the continuous random variable, the other side is same. So in this case, what I have expectation. I have basically Sx is a subset of the set A and B, or equivalently that can be written as probability that A is less than X less than B, less than equals to X less than equals to B is equals to 1. Both of them are same statement. And now expectation of X, which is basically integration from minus infinity to plus infinity. I am assuming X is continuous. For X discrete, you need to just replace this integration with the summation sign. So this is integration of X, f of X dx. Now this is same as A to B x fx dx, because outside the interval A to B the density function is 0. So that part will not contribute anything into the integration. Now I can write this quantity is greater than or equals to integration A f of x dx, A to B. What I did, instead of x, I put the lower bound. That's why the integration will be lesser. So this quantity is equals to A times integration A to B f of x dx, which again I can write same as integration minus infinity to plus infinity f of x dx. The reason is that basically I add the range outside the interval AB, and that range will contribute value 0. And so this quantity equals to A, because this integration is the integration of the density function, and that will be 1. So we have shown that the expectation is greater than equals to A. Similarly, we will be able to do the B, because if I put B here, then this equality will get reversed, and we will have the same thing. So we have proved that integration. We have proved that that expectation will going to lie between A and B if support is a subset of the interval A to B. Okay, then this says that expectation is a linear thing, that expectation of A plus Bx can be written as A plus B of expectation of X. So this is the linear property of the expectation. Proof, very simple, that we can proceed as follows. That I need to talk about expectation of A plus Bx. By definition, it is integration minus infinity to plus infinity A plus Bx. This is basically by using the theorem of expectation of Y in terms of the density function of X, and that is basically nothing but A times integration minus infinity to A minus infinity to infinity f of x at the point x dx plus b time integration minus infinity to plus infinity f of x dx, and that completes the proof. The first part is A, because this is the integration of the density function, and this part is 1, and the second part is b times expectation of x, because this integration is exactly expectation of x. Okay, so that means that I can write expectation of A plus Bx equals to A plus B times expectation of X, and this is basically linearity property of the expectation. Next one is kind of a generalization of the previous one. Suppose I have P function H1 to Hp, and if I try to find out what is the expectation of summation Hix, that will be summation expectation of Hix. Okay, so this summation sign can be taken outside the expectation, and I am not going into the proof of this one, because this is again fairly same as the previous proofs. Not only that, now using the property 5 and 4, what I can see is that if I have taken expectation of A plus summation ai hi, that will be a plus a summation ai expectation of hi. That can be proved using theorem 4 and 5. Okay, I left the proof of this theorem, and that's the next theorem which I just stated as an exercise. The three proofs are very, very similar to that what we have already done now. I hope these properties are clear. So all the properties have some nice use. We will see some of the uses later. So now let us see some of the definitions. They are basically some special name given to some kind of expectation. First one is the raw movement, and raw movement is nothing but expectation of x to the power r is called the RS raw movement, provided that this expectation exists. Okay, so I can take the r as any integer 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. The central movement, that expectation of x minus expectation of x whole to the power r is called the central movement. From where this movement name comes? The movement name comes from the physics. So in physics, the momentum has some relationship with the with this kind of expectation. So the movement name came from this one, and from where this raw and central thing comes? This thing comes because see that this y minus expectation of x, that thing, if you say this is variable y, you can think the variable y is basically nothing but the shift of the origin to the point expectation of x from the point 0. So it is some kind of centralization we are doing with respect to the point expectation of x. So this one is called the central movement, whereas this one is called the raw movement. So I hope that that the reason behind these names are okay with all of you. Okay. Again, another special name, variance. Variance is nothing but when I take r equals to 2 in the central movement, that quantity is called the variance. So variance is nothing but x minus expectation of x whole square. And that we will denote using the VAR of x. Okay, this notation we will use further, and you can easily see that variance of x can be written in this form. To see this one, you have to basically break this whole square, and then you need to use the property of the expectation. I leave it as exercise because you simply write down the thing. We'll keep this one. Just complete this one, and you can see this one. Now, one of the important thing here is that what is the physical meaning of the variance? This is a very, very important thing, and that's why variance is given a different name rather than writing it as a second central movement. Okay, let us try to understand what is the meaning of the variance. Okay, let us talk about two things, two random variables. Okay, what is the common in two random variables? That it has same expectation. So expectation of x is same as expectation of y. So both the random variable has same expectation. But suppose the value of this random variable, both the random variable assume they are discrete. So value of these random variables very close to the value of the expectation of x. On the other hand, value of this random variable quite far away from the expectation of y. Now think of this expectation. See, what is this expectation? First, if I take, suppose x1 equals to x minus expectation of x, so this quantity is basically expectation of x1 square. Okay, what is rather I write this way. Okay, okay, wait, what? Okay, we work with this. Okay, so now in this case, what is x1? x1 is basically nothing but the distance between x, the values of x, and expectation of x. Obviously, for this side the distance is positive, for this side the distance are negative. Okay, so when I take the square here, x1 square here, that is basically nothing but squared distance, and all the distance are, when I take the square, all the values will be positive. So this quantity, which is variance of x, is basically nothing but average of squared distance, because expectation is the average. So it is the average of the squared distance between the values of x and the expectation of x. So clearly, if I compute the variance for this kind of random variable where the values are very close to expectation of x, and if I compute the variance in this case, what will going to happen is that variance of x is less than variance of y. Okay, so that is basically the physical meaning of the variance, that if I have two random variables which has variance same, then if which has expectation same, then if we calculate the variance of both the random variables, and if we found that variance of x is smaller than variance of y, that basically means that the values of x are more close to the expectation of x compared to the values of y, the closeness of the values of y to expectation of y. Okay, so variance is a give us a sense of how dispersed the values of that particular random variable around its expectation, and that is one of the very practical use of this. Actually give us a practical use of the variance. For example, suppose we have to compare two batsmen and both the batsmen have same average run. Now how we can compare these two? One of the way to compute the variance, and if whichever batsman has lesser variance, I am going to choose that particular, I may want to choose that particular batsman, because for that particular batsman the consistency is more. He or she will run almost close to his expectation. Whereas the other batsman which has a large variance, his or her consistency is not that much. That batter may score a very large score, may score a quite large run in a match. On the other hand, the same batsman can score a quite small run. Okay, quite less run in the other match. So that's why basically variance is sometimes very helpful to compare to distribution to random variable, and it has very nice physical interpretation. I hope the interpretation of the variance is fine with everyone. Okay, now let us see the next theorem, which is again a very nice interpretation of the variance. So note that this part is nothing but the variance. So what this theorem says? This theorem says that variance, which is expectation of x minus expectation of a square, is always less than equals to expectation of x minus a whole square. So what does this mean? This means, see that a is any constant. This basically means that this expectation is smallest when I replace this a with expectation of x. Okay, so as we have already interpreted this, that this quantity can be taken as average. This quantity can be taken as distance between the random variable x and a, squared distance between the random variable of a, between x and a. So this whole quantity is basically nothing but average squared distance between the random variable x and a. So this theorem basically says that average squared distance between the random variable x and a is minimum when we replace this x with the expectation of x, with the expectation of the corresponding random variable. Okay, let us see how to prove. Proof is simple. Proof is basically we start with this quantity, we start with this expectation, we introduce minus infinity, minus mu and plus mu, then break the square term. Now we will show that this cross product term is 0, and showing this one is very simple. Note that this part is constant, take it out of the expectation. We are having this one, and this expectation is 0, because this expectation can be written as expectation of x minus expectation of mu, and expectation of mu is again mu because mu is a constant. So expectation of x minus mu, and expectation of x is mu. That's why basically this part will going to contribute 0. So finally I have expectation of x minus a whole square equals to expectation of x minus mu whole square plus mu minus a whole square. now this quantity always greater than equals to 0, that means this quantity always greater than equals to expectation of x minus mu whole square, which is the variance of x. Okay. Now, when equality holds if and only if this quantity is 0. And this quantity is 0 if and only if a equals to b. So, equality holds, this equality hold here if and only if a equals to expectation of x. Okay, fine. So, the proof is very, very simple. Again, this theorem has nice physical meaning. What is the physical meaning? The physical meaning is this. Suppose I have a random variable and I do not know what is the value of the random variable. And I asked you to give me a guess of that. What value should I give? This theorem says that I should give the value is, I should take the value is expectation of x. Why? The reason is that, see that this quantity you can interpret as a error. Because this is the distance between x and a. Average square distance between x and a. So this quantity you can think as an error. If I give the value of the random variable x is a, then how much error I committed? The error I committed or average error I committed is basically this quantity. So from this interpretation, the error is minimum when I take a equals to expectation of x. And that means if I have to give a guess, I should take the guess expectation of x if no other extra information is given to me. Definitely, if I have some extra information, maybe I can able to improve the guess. But if no other information given to me, only the distribution of x is given to me, then and if I want a guess value of x, then one of the good guesses is that I will take the guess value of the random variable x is expectation of x. And that's why sometimes it is called best estimate of x. So sometimes if expectation of x is called best estimate of x. Hope that this intuitive idea, this physical meaning, intuitive idea, physical interpretations are good with everyone. I stop here. In the next lecture, we will see some special expectation, another special expectation, which is basically moment generating function.